there guys, good morning, good afternoon and good evening and welcome back to another video. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking about a bit of a controversial topic today. I'm thinking about a next step for my business and what to do going forward to help elevate it to the next level. It's a little bit controversial. I'm going to discuss the pros and cons to what I think to it. And yeah, stay tuned. If you can like, subscribe and comment, we'd really appreciate it. As always explained, it really does help support the cause. It helps support me on my growth on this channel. And ultimately in return, guys, if we get this YouTube to a certain level, the money that we might get from it or might not, we will just reinvest it back in to help grow this business and also grow the content. So stay tuned and let's get started. So I started this business, like I say, back in August of last year, dealing with cheap cars, I would say £1,000, £2,000, £3,000. And always obviously did a cash deal or a bank transfer. But the level that we're at now for LAS Autobahn Motors, we've transferred to full German stock now, and we've upped our values to the average are about £5,000 to £7,000/8,000. And I think at this sort of level, do we require finance is what I'm thinking. I'm not 100% sure at the minute. I was looking at the FCA application process a couple of days ago. Obviously, I have been FCA regulated myself whilst working for main dealer, so I've done SAF tests before and stuff like that. So I am pretty clued up with the finance side of things. But with everything going on in the current climate and also to do with finance, what's going on under this consumer law and bits like that, I'm just not sure if I want to involve myself in that, what I would call noise. So for those who don't know, there's currently a big claim going on in the Supreme Court for finance lenders / dealers on not disclosing certain fees to the customer when they purchase the vehicle. Now, I have been involved in that whilst working for main dealer. I have seen that process happen. We hit a point at the company I was working at where we had to change all our, what we call process, our sales process, and we had to get more forms involved. So we had to get commission disclosure forms signed by the customer, and that they would explain in detail what the fee would be, which we was earning as the dealer from them taking finance out through us. Now, I know going forward, finance companies have put a new structure in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And there is still a bit of touch and go with what's actually going to be happening in these Supreme Courts. I mean, there's claims coming out of finance companies and you're talking large amounts of money. I mean, the amount of people I speak to, just general public, say, yeah, I've got a claim going on, I've got a claim going on. And it's the risk of sort of involving your business in that sort of environment. But I think finance is a great product for a customer and a dealer to use. I mean, you can look at it two ways when you're purchasing a car. You can either buy a car in one go, so one bulk of money, you've got some money in the bank, but that car will depreciate as soon as that car drives away off our forecourt. Where if you finance a vehicle, that balance is spread over a set period of time, whether that be 1, 2, 3, or 5 years, depending on if you're doing a hire purchase agreement or a PCP agreement. Now, I always have said, and in my mind, how I process it, when you do a finance agreement and that balance is spread out over a certain period of time, it does sort of help with the amount of money that you lose in one go because that cost is being spread. Now, I've always financed my vehicles personally, and so has a lot of my family. If I ever want to purchase a car, I've either had a hire purchase agreement or a personal loan. So that is another one which I am a big believer on. I've always had either a personal loan or a hire purchase agreement. I've never gone for a PCP agreement. I just don't really agree with how they're structured. I've seen it a lot, again, at the deal that was at when the customer buy a car. You get them in for an account review, usually after 2 years if they've taken a 4-year agreement out, and a lot of the time they're in negative equity, especially with things like electric cars, but we'll talk about that in another video. But the sort of cars that we'll be selling, you won't physically be able to do a PCP agreement anyway, because to do a PCP agreement, the car can be up to 5 years old, and obviously we sell cars way past that. Some of our cars are up to 12, 13, 14 years old. So we'd be looking at your hire purchase agreement. Now, as mentioned, I have had a look at the FCA application process, which it does take a while for it to go through. There's a lot of forms that you have to fill out and bits like that. And then from there, they say it can take 6 to 12 months to let you know if that application's gone through or if it's not. I mean, the one side to think of, a little bit of a negative when you're doing finance, is you do have things like audits from the FCA. You do have to send a lot of paperwork off to them as well. You also have to get a lot more forms signed while you're doing the deal, like say commission disclosure forms. You have to get hire purchase agreements printed out for the customer and bits like that. So there will be a bit more work to it if we decide to go with the finance route. But what I am finding at the minute is we do have quite a lot of customers who are coming to us saying, can I do finance on this car? And I'm obviously having to say no, or you can use a third party finance company. But when we're using a third party finance company like we did about a week and a half ago, we didn't get a single penny of commission for doing that. But then we as a dealer have signed ourselves into obviously the 6 months. But with that, with the commission that we've not earned, we then signed ourselves into an agreement called a tripart agreement. And we are now really stuck with that customer for 6 months. The car's got to be fit for purpose. And you will always find that if something does go wrong in that time, the finance company will always side with the customer naturally. That's their best interest is with the customer, not with us as the dealer, because we're not an approved dealer with them and we don't get anything out of it. So they're always going to go with the customer. Now, what happens if a car does go wrong? Usually the finance company would ask for something like an AA report. So that's to get a full diagnostic report on the car to say if that fault would have been there on point of sale or if it's something that's developed since the customer's had it. And a lot of the time, what they'll come back and say is there's no proof on the fault not being there on point of sale. And that is how they get you on it. So I've got to be prepared mentally if I want to do that going forward. But I do believe that finance and being able to offer finance to customers would help us massively grow as a business, especially where I'm wanting to go going forward with LAS Autobahn Motors. Obviously, I don't just want to stop here. I want to get lots more German-based vehicles, and again, around that value, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 pound. Over time, you never know what's going to happen. I might go even higher, and at that point, you are definitely going to need finance. And with that, we've been able to offer finance to customers. It helps us get a bigger portion of the market. Like I say, the amount of people that we've had who have had to basically reject them purchasing the car from us because we can't offer them finance, and that is like really frustrating to have to say to customer. Obviously, us as a dealer, we never ever want to lose out on a deal. But to get it to that certain point where there's nothing else that we can do to get the deal over the line, I'm starting to see like pound signs going down the drain when I'm having to say, sorry guys, we can't offer finance on this car. And then they go elsewhere and they'll obviously purchase another vehicle. I mean, the amount of customers that I have had who say, I want to buy this car right now, but on finance, that is really frustrating because it's like dangling the carrot with the donkey. You're just there, but you're not there. So I do think that it's going to be something that I am going to do. Now, I'd love to hear from our customers and also motor traders and stuff to hear your opinions on it. But I do believe this is what we're going to do going forward. And I believe it's going to be a great asset and a great improvement to level up our business to the next level. Ultimately, I want to give our customers the best experience that I can. And that will be ensured going forward, even if we do offer finance on cars. In fact, I'd probably say I'd be even more anal than what I was before. But I would love to hear from you guys what you think. Do you think it's a good thing to do for our business? Do you think it's the right move? Is it something that's going to benefit you? Please tell us if you've seen any of our cars, but you want to take finance out and you've not been able to. It might even encourage me to do it a bit faster. The biggest bit of what I'm struggling with is the actual application process. So it is very time consuming. And at the minute, I am struggling with time. So I've got to be able to put a bit of time away for myself every week to get through these, what you call modules. And then obviously after that, it'd be another 6 to 12 months to hear back if you can offer finance or not. But that's my opinion on finance. I don't think it's a bad thing. I do think it's a really good asset for people. It's a great tool for purchasing a vehicle. I mean, yes, there's a lot of noise going around at the minute with finance companies, but I do believe going forward, ultimately, people and businesses never learn from doing things right. We do learn from doing things wrong, and that's people in general. We learn from our mistakes. And I do think going forward, finance companies will obviously ensure that it's very clear to the customer any hidden fees, any commission disclosures, or anything like that. So I do think at the time that I'm getting involved in this market, that in terms of a customer experience side of things, I think it's going to be the best experience that customers have when using car finance companies. The one thing that I do struggle a little bit with the FCA is I sort of feel like when you obviously sign up for them and you become regulated, that you sort of feel like you're owned by the FCA. obviously every move that you do is got to be FCA compliant. And with that, I'm not too sure from that side of things if I want to go down that route again. I mean, I can only speak from experience of the deal that I was at. And if I'm honest with you, if a customer wants to, they can have you over the barrel of a gun, if they really pushed hard enough. And that does happen. The amount of videos that I've seen from other YouTube channels who own car dealers themselves of just horror finance stories. I mean, I watch them and find them quite entertaining, but I don't want to be on the other side of it and actually be living that. And that is the truth. You would have to go through that if you was to be FCA compliant. I mean, that's not saying that I don't want customers to have a great experience, because I really do. Every single time if a customer buys a car from us, I am solely thinking about their experience with us and how can I make it the best I can possibly do. But I don't want to be filling all the forms out and stuff and sending audits over to the FCA and having you call you and say, have you done this? Have you done that? The one thing that I have really enjoyed since setting up my own business is being by myself. Obviously, I've got Will, but ultimately being by myself and having nobody breathing down my neck is a really nice feeling. And I've got to accept that if I go down this FCA route and start offering finance on cars, that will no longer be the case. The other side of it is the value of the cars that we're at. Is it going to be that beneficial? How many finance agreements are we going to do? Yes, I have people who have asked us for finance, but out of the over 150 cars that we've sold since trading, I've probably been asked maybe 10 times, 15 times. So it's not a massive portion of my customers that are asking for finance, but I just believe in being able to offer it. I think it'll give us a bit more credibility as a business, and ultimately it will attract customers that we haven't had previously. And that's something that I'm really interested in doing. I mean, other than being FCA regulated, I have been looking at the business on a whole and things that we can bring in to improve the business. I feel like the first year of trading, I just had to get through that first year. It was always a struggle starting with no money and getting to the place where we're at now. So at that time, obviously, I wasn't thinking about being FCA regulated or anything like that. But now I'm a little bit more comfortable and the business has settled down and I've got a solid stock at all times. I stay at about 30 cars, all cars I really want as well. They're not cars that, I didn't want to sell originally. I'm at that stage now where I'm thinking of the next steps. So a big thing that we did, for example, is we registered with the DVLA to be able to print number plates. And I've got a company coming to install a number plate machine for us. Yes, it's a cost, but I'm thinking about the customer experience. And also, obviously, I want our plates on every car. So that is why I want to do that. And the same with the FCA is, obviously, I want to be a serious player in this game. I don't want people to just think, yeah, Elliot's up by motors, you can only buy vehicles with cash. They're a bit of a backstreet trader. Not like we are, but I don't want to get that feeling. I want people to come in and be like, they offer finance on the cars, they print their own number plates and all that sort of stuff. So I do think 100% it's something that I am going to be doing. When is another question altogether. So the when is the key bit. I mean, I've only just moved to this sort of stock which I'm at now, which is why it's come to the front of my mind with getting FCA regulated. But when is the right time? Are we at a position where we really need to be FCA regulated or not? I'm not too sure. I do know a few dealers, a couple of mates of mine who started around the same time as me. One was about a year and a half before me. He is FCA regulated and he gets some really good success from it. But he is on what you call a stock funding package. So his cars are quite a lot newer than mine. Some cars are like 17 plates, 18 plates. So he defo does need finance. So I'm just at a bit of a 50-50 with it. But I do believe it's something that I need to be doing. But let us know what you think to this video, guys. We'd love to get a bit of feedback from what your opinion is on it. Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? We'd love to hit both sides of the story so we can weigh up if it's the right move for our business. But that's just a quick video for today, guys. If you can like, subscribe and comment, we'd really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Take care.